I have just landed at St. Louis International Airport on a Southwest 737 MAX 8 from New Orleans. My next flight to Tulsa is on a Southwest 737-700 and it is currently boarding. There's a very good chance that I'll miss my connection. Do you think I'll make it? Let's find out, everybody. Let's just go ahead and see if we can get this done, everybody. So again, feel free to check out those videos, but we're flying Southwest here in the St. Louis International Airport. So just for a little bit of context real quick, as you all know, that flight was delayed by about an hour and 15 minutes and I had about an hour and 10-minute layover here at St. Louis. So we were able to make back a little bit of time though. I think we ended up arriving in about an hour later or so. So it was going to come down to the wire, but here's a few reasons why I'm confident that I will be able to make this connection. So first and foremost, we are under a Southwest connection now, so that certainly helps as they now have me in their system and they'll be able to tell whether I'll be able to where I am in the process of the New Orleans to St. Louis flight, obviously, so if it's justifiable to keep the plane on the ground. At this point, I knew that Southwest has held flights before, so I thought that this was going to be pretty doable, but there is one major constraint here, and that's that my flight, I was in the back of the New Orleans to St. Louis flight. I was in seat 24F, so that means that I'm going to have to wait on everybody to get off this plane before I can get off. Other passengers are also connecting, and they also have tight connections rather. Therefore, it's going to take quite the effort here to see if we're going to be able to make it off in time. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get anybody else off in front of me before I was able to pass them. So that was unfortunate, but of course, we got to make do with what we have. So I remained patient there in the back as we waited. So here's the status. We are pulling in the gate E18 here at St. Louis International Airport. And at this point, you know, I see the app and obviously boarding's already started at this point. So, you know, I'm like, it's going to be what it's going to be type mindset. So we pull into E18 and then here we go. Everybody has to deboard. So we have 24 rows of 6 people each in front of us. So that's like, I don't know, I think like 130 at least or so. So we have a bunch of people here in front of us. So I think it took around at least 8 minutes or so, maybe closer to 10 or 12, but it certainly took some significant time here to deplane. And at this point, like I said, I'm just like, it's going to be what it's going to be. What I am happy about at this point, though, is that obviously since it's on Southwest, they will at least pay for the flight back home tomorrow if I have to get a hotel here. But the downside is I'm going to be paying for that hotel, as I believe this flight was a weather delay. So very unfortunate, but nevertheless, we're just making do with what we can at this point. So again, the first 24 rows are deplaning right now, and I'm patiently waiting for this to happen. And I'll go ahead and jump ahead to this. Southwest doesn't send you like any notifications on last boarding or any of that, so obviously you're supposed to be in the terminal at this point, but I couldn't have really been because of the late flight in. So that's exactly what we have going here. And I deplane, and now I'm going to show you the clip of deplaning this aircraft and the sprint that I made over to gate E14 where our next flight is and where we'll be departing out of. And man, all I can say is that it was quite a situation to say the least, and you'll see. So will we make this flight? I don't know. We're going to have to go give it our best try though. But again, I'm pretty confident at this point, but I still made the sprint regardless. So let's go ahead and check out that clip, everybody. I'm almost there! Wow. Oh my goodness, man, down to the wire once again, but somehow, some way, this flight did get held for just long enough, and we do make the 4th and final flight of the day to somehow put a cap on this amazing return home itinerary on a Southwest 737-700 from St. Louis to Tulsa. So as you saw right there, the PA did go off with my name on it, so that certainly shows you how close it was. If I would have been row 28 or 29 on that MAX 8, who knows if I end up making making this flight, but luckily 24F was my seat for that flight, and somehow, some way, I was able, after all of that, after the Orlando debacle, and then obviously into New Orleans, and had 3 people left in the C group for that flight, which we just got off of, and then obviously now getting called over the PA in St. Louis, I somehow was able to make this flight, and just a complete testament to gratitude right there, and obviously trust. Obviously, I had some other backup plans ready in the case that I wasn't going to be able to make it, but of course it was reasonable to assess at the time that I wasn't expecting Frontier to be a 4-hour delay. I was hoping more like an hour, 2 hours tops, but somehow we were able to get that done, and somehow the Southwest flight delayed too. So the fact that all this came together was truly just surreal to watch, and it was certainly quite a feeling, to say the least. Certainly quite the memory for St. Louis. This was my first time visiting STL, the Lamberg Field, and it was absolutely crazy that I was in that terminal for all of about, I don't know, you can call it like probably a little over a minute or whatever it was, but immediately got that boarding pass scanned and we were off to Tulsa. So I really appreciate Southwest holding this flight. That was very nice of them to do that, and obviously proved powerful as I did not have to pay for the hotel, and our flight still landed in the Tulsa 1 minute early, which is crazy. Sorry to give that away, but I just wanted that to be like, you know, it's tough not to think about it that way, that our flight seriously landed 1 minute early in the Tulsa after all of that. So really, really cool. That was so darn awesome, and overall it was quite a adrenaline rush, excuse me, but somehow we do make this flight, and man, this series has been super fun, and I thought that this was a fun way to present it, so I really hope all of you enjoyed this. But yeah, it came down to the last minute, came down to a PA over the intercom, but we somehow were able to get out of it, and just a true testament to patience and what it can do. And yeah, after, you know, obviously because Frontier, if I would have missed the Southwest flight to St. Louis, I would have been out not only the flights but also the hotel there as well. But somehow in this case, I was going to be good just to get the hotel, and then Southwest would have covered the flight. But luckily, it didn't end up coming down to that. So it truly does show how risky my itineraries do get, and of course we will have one grand finale Southwest trip report, which was certainly the least stressful of the day. Outside that Spirit one, that one was fine. So we certainly will be covering all that, and I hope all of you are excited for it. But man, it was quite a feeling. I know I've said that several times, but I mean, just imagine running through the St. Louis terminal and then getting your name called over the PA because you're not at the plane yet, because you were 24 rows back on a 737 MAX. Quite a talent show, man. I'm certainly really fortunate that Southwest was able to hold this plane on this particular day, and somehow after all the thunderstorms and nearly misconnecting in New Orleans and all this, it just was able to somehow pull this off. So I was super happy about this, and just what a talent show, to say the least. So thank you, Southwest. I can't thank you enough for saving my budget, and somehow for all that I spent on this particular day to get all these flights done. That would have been the price of the hotel. So was super happy to get all these flights done in these circumstances, and honestly it was quite a learning lesson and also quite an experience, to say the least, and I'm very grateful for both of those elements of this portion of the trip. So super happy about this. Looking forward to the Southwest trip report from St. Louis to Tulsa. I had one more comment I was going to make, and of course I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to think of it here real quick, but I can't come up with it. But it was really good, whatever I was going to say. Darn it, I really didn't. Oh, yeah, okay. So I do have content from New Orleans and St. Louis, and I'll make separate airport videos on those airports in the future, because during future visits, I did have more content, so I thought it would fit better to share those now, and instead substitute those airport videos, instead of them going with this trip, doing the Will I Make My Connection series. And I think this was certainly a fun element of this trip that I can't really do with others. So certainly super happy about this, and looking forward to seeing whether Will I Make My Connection come back in the future or not. Spoiler alert, it might. We'll have to see. But nevertheless, looking super forward to it. I really hope all of you enjoyed this. It was quite a talent show, to say the least, and super glad to make this flight despite all these circumstances. So crazy day, but man, we somehow made it happen, and we will reflect on that in the Southwest trip report from St. Louis to Tulsa. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. But nevertheless, that'll do for today's video and the Will I Make My Connection series for the moment, everybody. I really hope each and every one of you enjoyed this. Again, crazy times. I know I've said that several times, but after all of what we've been through, I think it's okay to kind of reflect on it in that way. So with all that being said, everybody, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do you love you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.